So I remember being a junior within my first fashion company, and they asked us all to pitch one day. All the board and the top people, the directors in the fashion industry, asked us to pitch what you think that the company should be focused on. And this was 10 years ago, and I pitched sustainability then. And I said that if they didn't start investing in it now, they'll be irrelevant in the future. And everyone just ignored me.
And what collection is this that you're filming?
We describe our collections as seasonless, really, because the main mantra of the business is keeping hold of clothing that you buy. So we focus on linen and we focus on denim because they stay in your wardrobe forever. So we produce seasonless collections rather than focusing on spring, summer, autumn, winter. We design for the full year. So the things that we're shooting now will still be available next year because we create timeless pieces. And we don't want people to throw things away. Linen never goes out of fashion. Denim never goes out of fashion, and it can be styled multiple ways. So that's what we're doing today. We're styling in loads of different ways to make it easier for the customer and also to show versatility in the clothing. Like this is one piece of clothing that you've got, but look how many different ways you can style it. Keep hold of your product, don't send it to landfill, and that's kind of our encouragement behind all of our collections.
I love that. I am looking forward to being styled by you in Fanfare Label. So let's go through. What pieces are you going to choose for me today?
Well, these are all of our summer linen co-ord sets, so we'll leave those, but this is a really good transitional piece. So this is made from linen as well. Really, really cool. Again, you can wear it in the summer, you can wear it in the winter, you can dress it up, dress it down, wear it with trainers. So I think it's a really good versatile piece for styling, and it's one of our new products. So
is that the one you choose for me then?
Yes.
I love burnt orange. Is it burnt orange?
It is burnt orange.
I love burnt orange. Okay, so this is what Esther has picked for me. Let's see how I look in it then.
Amazing.
Okay, that's Fanfare Label. And I'm about to sit down and have a chat with the amazing founder, Esther Knight. Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Tell us a bit more about yourself, Esther.
My name is Esther. I'm the founder of Fanfare Label, and we're predominantly a denim brand focused around sustainability, recycling, and just trying to educate and inspire a different way of looking at fashion, essentially. I used to work in the fashion industry as a buyer, so I've worked for many different brands, high street, designer, included Vivienne Westwood as well. And it was really my journey in fashion that has led me to start up the brand and the things that I was witness to and all my experience within the industry, which led me to set up Fanfare Label.
That's inspiring. So given all of the experience that you've had over how many years in the fashion industry in total?
Maybe like 15.
Wow, okay. That's
I used to say a decade. I think it's a bit more than that now.
And I mean, when you add the pandemic as well, those 2 years went by really quickly, didn't they? And so when was the moment that you realized that the industry needed this radical change? Like, when was that moment when you decided, hey, I'm gonna start my own brand?
So I think the moment that I realized that the industry needed radical change was my first job, straight out of university.
Okay.
It led me later to set up my own brand. That came a lot later when I moved to Vivienne Westwood. But essentially, I got my first job in the fashion industry, and I was just witnessing firsthand really unethical behavior, and I just thought there must be a better way of doing business. So I remember being a junior within my first fashion company, and they asked us all to pitch one day. All the board and the top people, the directors in the fashion industry, asked us to pitch what you think that the company should be focused on. And this was 10 years ago, and I pitched sustainability then, and I said that if they didn't start investing in it now, they'll be irrelevant in the future. And everyone just ignored me. They thought I was crazy, and it's just good business to act responsibly and consider all stakeholders and everyone involved in the business. So that's when I started my sustainability journey. I started to do a lot more research. I think when I was in high street fashion, it was predominantly we were dealing directly with the suppliers. So I saw the kind of pressure on the suppliers getting things made really far away where you're not sure about the working conditions, and there was dubious behavior going on. And I think my first question was, why is my supplier working and it's 3 a.m. in the morning? And they were just, we've overworked, underpaid, and we just put so much pressure on them. That's where it began from a social point of view.
Okay.
And then I moved to Vivienne Westwood, and Vivienne Westwood is all about the environment. And that's where I knew I started to consider landfill crisis, the disposable clothing, the climate crisis as well. And so with those two both experiences, I felt that I had a 360 look on sustainability to then be able to start up my own company.
That's very, very inspiring. So I suppose Fanfare label that you've created, which I am honored to be wearing one of your
amazing.
I mean, I suppose you have considered everything from the social responsibility to environmental responsibility, and you make sure that that's reflected in all of the entire process of making a collection. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the fact you have to consider everything, which means that things take longer. When I was working in industry, you'd produce a collection a month. It was crazy. Now we're lucky if it's 2 a year, because there's so much to consider in the production of clothing. And obviously it's not, it's impossible to be 100% sustainable. No business is 100% sustainable. But by aligning our values correctly, we consider each element. So we consider the environment, we consider where we're getting our clothes made, and we have a 360 approach to it. But we also consider the end of life, because I think it's really important that we work clothing back into the system and we're not throwing items away. Because when people say, oh, I'm just throwing that away, well, there is no away. It doesn't go anywhere.
Exactly.
And if it's made from synthetic materials, it doesn't biodegrade either. So it's just making sure that we're working to that circularity loop.
Exactly.
Keeping clothing in the system, designing clothing like seasonless pieces that just last forever. And it's a whole process. It's the education side, the developing collections. It's a big task, let's say.
Well done. Well done. You've actually just mentioned that Fanfare label is fully secular, and by being fully secular, you are in many ways aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals. Could you explain to us what this means and how this is incorporated into your business model?
I think the first thing I would say to you is that sustainability is a journey, it's a process, and it's confusing, and it's really hard to get your head around. There's so many technical terms, there's so many different factors to consider, that it's okay to not know anything, and it's, like I said, it's a journey, and it's just a step by step. So I think that it's our responsibility as sustainable brands to help educate and inspire and encourage sustainable shopping, and do that job really, and help customers understand what it means. What does that word mean? So in terms of circularity, there's lots of different definitions of circularity. So rather than fully circular, we work towards circularity, because there's so many different ways to be circular. So the way that we're circular is that we repurpose and we reuse clothing at the end of life. So for example, we upcycle a lot of jeans. So we take clothing and textile wastage that would have ended up in landfill and repurpose it into new garments, so that we're ensuring that the wider fashion industry's wastage is minimized and we'll work them back in. Whereas other designers are fully circular, because they ensure that every single garment is fully worked back into the system, thread, buttons, everything. Whereas we're really focused on minimizing that wastage, which is why we do it. The sustainable clothing that we work with are all biodegradable. We work with linens that are biodegradable, but in terms of the other things we upcycle, we just are really passionate about solving that wastage thing. But then from the UN Sustainable Development Goals, it's where I originally built my business plan. It's basically a set of instructions about what to consider when setting up a business. So it's not just about considering one aspect of sustainability. So we see a lot of companies where they just focus on the fabric. There's no knowledge about exactly why that fabric is good, or focus on the workers or factories. And what the UN Sustainability Goal ensures is that every area is checked and covered. A set of principles to just align yourself with. You can get so caught up with the day-to-day that when it comes to planning and strategy, it's really good to have a strong foundation, and that's what we aim to do.
Amazing. So can you tell us a bit more about creating clothing from rescued textiles? Because you've said that one strong aspect of your business process is making sure to minimize the textiles that go into landfills. So what is that back-end process like, you know, from an entrepreneur perspective? Because I mean, I come in, go through the rack and I put on the pretty clothes, and I know that, you know, it's from a brand that has really considered the social impact, the environmental impact. But as an entrepreneur as well, I'm very curious to understand the BTS of what that looks like.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it started at Vivienne Westwood essentially, where I couldn't justify starting a brand without accounting for what's already out there, and that's where it stemmed. We don't need new clothing, we don't need newness all the time. There's so much that's been produced. Overconsumption is a real issue, landfill crisis is a real issue, and especially when I first started the brand, people weren't accounting for their waste. So they would place orders, and if those orders didn't sell, it would just be shipped off to be destroyed. And so a lot of materials that we use, a lot of clothing that we use is actually discarded other brands where you don't know what's going to happen to that product. And the last thing we want is it ending up getting burnt somewhere and letting off CO2 and ending up in landfill. So what we do is we work with recycling plants, vintage wholesalers and charity shops, things like that, and collect what we can can be repurposed, repaired and reused, and then we work that back in our collections. But yeah, like you said, it's really tricky, it's very time consuming, it's not as straightforward as designing, producing a collection, which can be done really quickly. We have to sieve through lots of waste. We also have some really good suppliers that supply our fabric, that is fabric rolls that haven't been used by other brands on their production lines. I always say that in high street it was so much quicker because you'd design a collection and then you'd find the fabric to fit that collection. Whereas we have to do it the other way around, where we have to find our fabrics, we have to find our resources, our things we're going to make with, and then design from what we've got. So the whole process takes a little bit longer. We do also do clothing that is with sustainable fabrics as well. So we have like a two approach. So we've got all of our repurposed, reused, recycled collections. It's about 60% business, and then we've got 40% which is focused on it's new clothing and it's made with new sustainable fabrics.
What are some of the rewards and the challenges in this process of doing it the other way around, where you have to pick out the fabrics before designing the collection?
From a challenge perspective is always the time and the resources, and to get things produced sustainably it takes longer and it costs more money, and as a small brand it's really difficult sometimes. It takes a lot of resources, but I think that that's how we started the business and it's really important. So I think from my perspective it's making sure that I'm not getting sucked into the pressure of newness all the time, and that I can educate on this is why our collections take longer. This is how much thought has gone into each piece, and trying to understand, that's the term slow fashion. I think it's just that taking a step back, doing it a bit more thoughtfully and responsibly, and like with anything that would take a bit more time. So definitely think time is a challenge. But then the rewards are seeing our customers wear our product and our fans of the brand. It's just really inspiring. All the customers that support us, get behind us, want to hear more about the message. I think that there's nothing more that you could want than people enjoying and wearing what you've created. And part of what I really like about the brand is designing things with customers. So we offer this service because it's not just about making sure our own clothes stay in the system, but we offer customers the chance to repurpose their jeans with us, so they can decorate them in all these designs. So we don't want people to throw their clothes away. It doesn't have to have a fanfare label on it. It's just, if they're bored of their clothing, if they're bored of their jeans and they want something new, send them into us and we'll repair and we'll decorate them for them. And there's that co-collaborative approach with our customers. And I think being a small brand, you get to do those nice things, which is really personal.
Never lose that when you get big then. Never lose that. But yeah, I do like that approach, because all of a sudden, you know, a little touch on an old jeans can feel new and loved again like before. So that's an amazing system that you have. So with the growth of your brand and the recognition in different publications, how do you see Fanfare label shaping the sustainable fashion industry?
I think that it's all about the customer and getting them to understand things like what was spoken about before. Sustainability topics are really intimidating and they're really complex. And I think it's our responsibility as a brand to try and ease that journey. And I think that if we manage to do that even a little bit, then that's really good. Because we're up against these huge companies and everyone is moving towards sustainable fashion. But I think that the reason that is because number one, customers are demanding it. But the second reason is it's innovative little brands like mine that are really spurring the bigger brands to actually want to do better because they're seeing that innovation comes from the small, it comes from the entrepreneurs, it comes from the startups. And I think that's the way we're influencing it really. I think that a lot of the bigger brands are watching what we're doing, which is annoying because I kind of don't want them to copy me, but also I want a sustainable future.
Well, copying is flattery, isn't it?
So I think that there's two ways really, is education and around general consumers, but also steering the brands and putting pressure on the brands by doing what we're doing to also do correctly and run a business responsibly as well. So yeah.
Amazing. So rumor has it that you have won a lot of awards in the fashion industry. Tell us a bit more about these awards.
Yeah, I mean, they're really exciting. This year is all about Drapers. So Drapers run a Sustainable Fashion Awards and we won it last year. We were their One to Watch category last year.
Wow.
And we were also nominated for circularity. And then this year, it was brilliant. We were nomination and finalists for 3 different awards because of our innovative fabric, which is our jeans. So we've really worked hard to incorporate post-consumer waste into our new jean collection. So it's post-consumer waste and organic cotton. And I think it's really far ahead in terms of denim within the fashion industry. That's essentially our bread and butter. We do denim.
Yeah. What were the awards?
So Best Innovative Fabric,
Nice.
Best Supply Chain Initiative, and Best Circularity Initiative.
Wow.
So we were finalists there. We didn't win those, but we finalists is still amazing. But we also won the German Sustainable Fashion Awards for design,
Nice.
which is incredible. Yeah. And then there's been a few others, like the Marie Claire Awards. We came second for Best Sustainable Denim Brand, which is crazy given how small we are. And everybody else nominate. I mean, we were up against Barber and Timberland, huge brands. We're just so thankful for them. And I think that they really help us as a small brand get our name out there as well. And from that, we've had a lot of a really amazing press. So we've been interviewed in Vogue recently, and we were in the Sunday Times and had I'm from Yorkshire. We had a massive Yorkshire Post feature, which was incredible.
Nice.
4-page spread. Amazing. So we've had a lot of press on the back of them as well, which is really encouraging that the press are getting behind talking about small businesses and sustainable fashion.
Yeah, my next question was going to be, what does that mean for you and Fanfare Label? You have touched on that. Is the visibility, is the inspiration to do right as a brand? It's also the big brands that are hearing more about your work and, you know, looking, hopefully not copying or stealing, but getting inspired by being more ethical in their processes. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So you have a community of over 10,000 women and a growing community of international women as well. Can you tell us more about what role your community plays in just driving your brand forward?
Yeah, I mean, everything, to be honest. We wouldn't be here without community and customers and fans of the brand, so we owe everything to them. We've been on Good On You, which is a US platform, which has brought a lot of international customers, which is brilliant. So I think teaming up with other sustainability focused brands and companies, it's so much more collaborative rather than competitive, which I've found from the fashion industry. The ethical kind of sustainability market is really empowering of each other and of the brand's growth. So that's how we've seen a lot of our international community come about. And then the customers are at the heart of everything that we do. We just love hearing from them, love designing clothes with them, which is what we said. And we want to do more, and we've really started focusing on doing events, and which is really hard because we are such a small team, getting in person with our community and our customers. But for this year and obviously next year and going forward, it's a real focus on those events and getting to meet people face to face and just growing and strengthening that relationship. But always, I'm just so thankful for my customers, and supporting small, I think, is so important, because the founder I and all the staff here, I say all the staff, there's like 3 of us, we know every customer, we acknowledge every order, and nothing is missed, so it's really important.
So when you think about how big you want this community to be, what's the number? Because I've mentioned 10,000. If you were to put a number to say, oh, in 5 years, I want my community to grow to X, what's that number?
Oh, I don't know. I want it to be huge, and we really want to be focusing on growth over the next 5 years. And I think, but I've learned as well not to hope too much, because we've gone through a pandemic, cost of living crisis, recession, and then so it's like everything, all your predictions kind of go out the window a bit. But definitely triple and quadruple. We want to be focused on growth in the next 5 years. We want to have more of a physical presence so that we can interact with our customers face to face, because they are at the heart of what we do. And hopefully also we're focusing on wholesale as well, which hopefully will make us reach more people.
Yeah. So let's just say that in that time, in about 5 years, when I come back for this interview, we would replay this and be like, hey, Esther, you achieved that. Well done. Another fun fact that people watching don't know is that you have lectured in universities on sustainability topics. So if you walked into a classroom now with a group of students, what are the key takeaway lessons that you would want them to leave the room with?
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of speaking at a number of universities, and I think it's just so important to empower the next generation, and so it's a really big focus of mine. But what I would say is not to get intimidated, for one, which I've said throughout this interview. It's a big topic, and you can't solve everything, and it's okay to start small. When I first started, it was like, we've got to do everything, we've got to reach X, we've got to do this, and just you can put so much pressure on yourself. But I would say, like, identify the area of sustainable fashion that you're really passionate about. So is it the people? Is it the environment? And try and find a company, if you're going into work or you want to set up your own thing, that best aligns with that value you've got. You can't tackle everything all at the same time, all at once. It's good to do a bit of a step by step. So I would focus on and support the brands that match your values, and reach out to them, tell them that they're doing a good job, and tell them that you're interested in what they do as well. And I think that's probably the biggest takeaway. And then from a shopping perspective, and is just take that slow approach, considered approach. Do I need this? And if I do, can I style it in multiple ways so it'll stay in my wardrobe forever? I think we need to get back to let's cherish our items. And I don't know about you, all the items in my wardrobe that I cherish are ones that have either been passed down from my family, or ones that I've really had to save up for, and I really cherish, and I really love those items. And I think we need to get back to that, and realizing that clothing isn't something to throw away, and let's just slow down. It doesn't mean stop shopping, it just means let's just have a bit of a considered approach to it.
Yeah, I love that. One of your key takeaways actually highlights what you mentioned earlier, which is that brands, by looking at smaller brands like yourselves doing things the right way, they are inspired to actually take that more conscious approach. Because if you're in a classroom advising, students and future graduates to do their research and align themselves with companies who share the same values, whether it's on people or the environment. I mean, by doing that research, that already eliminates companies that are not being very conscious about their impact, whether it's the people, the environment, the logistics, the shipping, everything. So I think this just highlights to me that your brand might be small now, but like you said, innovation starts with the smaller group of people who come together to say, hey, I'm gonna do this differently. And even the younger generation, they're more and more conscious, they're more intentional about their behavior, whether it's their consumption or their purchase. And it is inspiring. So thank you for all of the work that you're doing in this space. It's amazing. Thank you for taking the time to chat to us today.
Oh, it's been brilliant. And thank you for coming here. And
of course.
Yeah, I just really appreciate it. And thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Okay, so before we go, I'm gonna go through a couple of fire rounds. Fire questions? Quick fire round? Quick fire.
We're going to go through some quick fire questions. So,
Yes.
denim or linen?
Denim.
Denim,
Yeah.
okay. Heels or flats? Staying in or going out?
Going out.
Oh, okay. You're one of the few entrepreneurs that would go out because
no, I
everyone
need
just
to
wants to be at home. Okay, that's it. Just 3 questions. Anyway, thank you so much.
Sure,
Thank you. And yeah, good luck with the collection. And yeah, I hope to see more of your achievements online.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you so much for being with us today.
Count me as one of your 10,000 plus women from now.
I will do.
Ciao.
Thank you guys for watching. If you want to hear more about us, the website is below. It's fanfarelabel.com, and make sure you follow us on Instagram. But I need to go back to my shoot now.